Well, hello there again, everybody. Boyd Crompton here with you, and we've got a great panel of modelers with us today on our Sci-Fi Model Action Live Hangout. We're going to get right to it here today and go around the room and have everybody introduce themselves. I'm going to start off with my extreme left here, which might be to the right for you guys, and we've got a couple of Johns in here with us today, so we might be a little bit confused, but we'll try to get it straightened out, everybody. So let's go all the way to the left and start off with John wearing the black shirt. How's that?
Okay, that's my right, just so you know. I got it from this. My name is John Bishop, and I model mostly men's clothing. I build everything, and you know, in the past I've had things. I've built in projects like, you know, actual machining as live steam engine and boats and planes and everything. But I'm working on the Enterprise refit right now, and you know, made a little bit of progress since last week. Started to work on the let's see, where's the camera? There we go. Started to work on the secondary hull here, and I took Boyd's advice and cut out the front so I can slide the hangar deck in. Got the access into the top of the hull for the wiring that's going to come down through there. Started work on the neck a little bit. You know, I got a aluminum tube in there. I got to start putting some lights and stuff, but all the wiring is going to come through here. And did a little bit of photo etch on the hangar deck. You can see, you know, it's coated. And I cut the windows out and back like you had it too. That's I had one question, Boyd. It's like I was looking at your video, and it looks like on the turbo lifts you actually have them painted on top. I mean, maybe that's an optical illusion, but I mean, I know the light's supposed to come through the top and the bottom of the thing, but I was like, how the heck is that happening if it's painted? I mean, they look like they're painted in the video. You didn't do that, did you?
Well, I might have painted the top because I've got my light just coming up through the bottom, John.
Okay. Oh, I see. Only the bottom.
Only the bottom, yeah. I've got two. I've got two of those. What are they, Ralph? Not the super small SMDs that Jerry has, but the normal size one that he always sells. The
0604, something like that.
Yeah, I can never remember those numbers, but let me grab one here and I'll show you what it is, John.
Okay.
It's just the basic one that he sells, the one that he's got all kinds of them now, but these are like the first ones that he started selling. This little guy right here.
Yeah, I've got some of those, and it just looked strange to me because it looked like you were going to try to light them from the top and the bottom.
I think I did do that on the first one that I built, but this one, because on the first one that I built, I tinted them blue, and then it took more light to get them to light, so I did have to light the top and the bottom. But when I went back and looked at Star Trek: The Motion Picture, those turbo lifts weren't blue; they were just regular.
Right. Okay.
White lighting or whatever in there, so I just drilled two little holes, put the SMD right, you know, facing upward into the hole, glued it in place, and it lights them up real good.
Then the other thing that I ordered, I'm going to do I'm going to use the Ralph's board and do the strobes on the landing area. But I decided that, I know on your first build you actually put the LEDs into the the deck. But that would result in a light that's probably 3 or 4 feet across, you know.
Yeah.
But, so I'm gonna try. I got some fiber optics. I'm gonna go with that and see how that works. And so I'll have the strobes coming in, the lead-in light. And I also last weekend, and literally, Ralph, I just pulled this out of the mailbox, so I haven't had a chance to look, but I just got it, so thank you.
Oh, the robot. Okay.
Yeah, I got the B9 robot, the lighting kit, and I also got the little board that we discussed. What I'm going to try to do on my impulse engine is, I'm going to have 2 main lights, LEDs on it for brightness. But I don't want it to be just a constant on. I want it to flicker a little bit. So I'm going to have a third light that goes on with the 2 LEDs that flickers. And the problem is the circuit won't work as designed if you just add another one in. And so I can, but with this I'll be able to make it work that way. So I'm just gonna experiment and try it, see how it works. And
Yeah, John, that little board that I sent you to take the signal coming out of that impulse engine, and then it will turn on whatever you connect to that output. You know.
oops, yeah, I got it. And so I will. I'm definitely excited to try that. So maybe I'll get finishing up on my main saucer there and get more lighting on for next week. I gotta do the rec deck. I mean that park thing, whatever you call it. It's like, and so that's what's up next. And then I want to get going on the B9. I might start working on that in parallel since I have the electronics now. So that's what I got from here.
Awesome.
All right, John. Well, thanks for showing that. And John, I know your last name. It's Petrie, so we'll go John Petrie next. How you doing today, John?
I'm fine, thanks, Boyd. I'm John from the UK. I've been building models for about 12 months, mainly sci-fi. Currently been working on Voyager. I've pretty much finished Voyager now. Got all the decals on it, all the windows filled in.
Nice.
Very good. Looks
Very
beautiful.
Yep. I really love the fiber optic effect you did on the front part there, that you call the Borg effect. Yeah.
It didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, but nevertheless, it was still an okay effect. Just plug it in.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with that. That kit's a lot bigger than what I thought. I have the kit sitting over here on the shelf. I haven't even hardly looked at it, but
I think it's around about 1/650 or one. I'm not sure if it's 537 or 6 something. It's 51 centimeters long.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's not glaring as much now that the windows are all filled in.
Right. Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's beautiful.
I mean, I've been working on the base the last couple of days, and I'm a little bit stuck on the base. I've just masked it off today and painted it. It's just a piece of plexiglass or perspex.
Oh, nice. Melcars, yeah.
And I just made this out of some perspex and masked off all the areas. And I was going to put some of these Lacoste panels on.
Right.
But I'm unsure how I want to stick them to the plexiglass. So I didn't quite think it through properly. I just went ahead and did it.
How about double-sided Scotch tape?
Right. I do have some of that.
You know, John, there's also a product by 3M that is kind of like a rubbery-based adhesive that you could use to put patches and stuff on. I mean, that might help too.
Yeah, they make a spray adhesive that would be perfect for that.
Right.
Spray a little bit of that on there.
I mean, once I've fitted them on, I'm going to obviously give it a clear coat to protect it. And it will be backlit in the base.
That's really cool.
I'm a little bit disappointed. I've got it. I've put it all together and everything in me green nav light here. It's just gone.
Don't tell anyone.
This one right here.
That happens every once in a while. Yep.
The other side is perfectly okay, but the underside is just gone out.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I'm cracking it open.
That'll damage. I worry about that too, but like you know, it's like the guys that do model radio control airplanes. You know, you just commit to at some point it's not going to be the way you want it.
I mean, I did test all the LEDs for about 2 days before I actually sealed it up, but I know these things do happen sometimes.
Yep.
I mean, I could crack it open, but I'm just gonna live with it.
Yeah, I think I would too. as beautiful as she's got the model done, to try to go back and reputty it and repaint it and get it all right again, it's not worth it. You've still got the light on the top, and that's what the most people are going to see anyway, so it looks good.
Yeah, you just turn that part towards the wall.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Well, that's beautiful work, John. And let's go to the next John. John, I think this John is new with us today. I don't know your last name, John, but welcome with us and introduce yourself. John wearing the green shirt. I think it's a green shirt.
Yeah, hi Boyd, how are you? My name is John Robbins.
Well, glad to have you with us today, John.
What's going on, John?
I'm on actually. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Doing great.
I'm working on a couple of projects. I'm just finishing up the original Revell Viper.
Oh, yeah. That's the vintage model, the original release?
Yeah, I wanted to try that. Yeah, I wanted to try that one first before I got into the newer ones. I wanted to make my mistakes here before I open the new ones.
It looks good.
And I'm working on a weird project, zombie hunter car.
Oh, cool. All right. Right out of Mad Max. What is it? Is it a Mercury?
It was a 49 Mercury, the old AMT kit.
Yeah, okay. That's cool.
Then I'm also working on Dr. Cranky's Rust Cap Challenge. I don't know if this will show up or not.
Okay, yeah, I can see it sort of there. This Google Plus is not the best for good resolution, but I can make it out there. Oh, did he lock up, guy? No, he locked up for a second. There he is.
The cap for an orange juice.
Oh, okay.
You're still there or not, but I lost everything.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, we can still see you, John.
Yeah.
You locked up for a second, but you're back now.
I guess I'm going to go because I'm just got a black screen.
Okay, we'll try to
Thanks
leave and
for
then
the
you can
invite.
reconnect and see if you can get back in, John.
Just refresh the screen, and then it'll ask you to join
I
again.
can hear you, but the screen. I can hear you, but the screen is black. I got a Google Plus symbol, and that's it.
Yeah, just hit your refresh button or F5.
Does F5 refresh?
I'll try again later. Thanks, guys.
Okay, John.
All right, John. Okay, well, let's move on to John Swaller then. And John, like usual, is busy working on his bench. How you doing today, John?
I'm doing swell, guys. How y'all doing?
Good.
Great.
We're just about to go on the main base of the model itself. And once I get it on this, figure out the wiring for the switch. I just heard a bang upstairs. So please move on. Let me check out what's going on. Hello.
Did he have to go?
Yeah, you heard something upstairs, so he
Okay.
wanted to check it out.
All right, well, let's go to Mike Morgan and see what he's doing. How you doing today, Mike?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Still on Batmobile, doing part searching. Playing the weight game with the mail.
I hate that.
Nah, you know how it is. Ordered a bunch of LEDs from HDA Model Works. I hope I got the ones I was going to need. Once again, like the screen thing. Never understand quite what it is until you get there, and it's like, oh, that's not exactly it. I'm waiting, doing the weight game. Got some all-clad chrome coming. I'm gonna so I can re-chrome all the pieces that I shouldn't have.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. I have a couple of questions to ask you guys about that today. I'm I just bought some of that all-clad, and I was going to ask you guys a little bit later about how to use it or what your experiences have been with it, because I bought it. I bought the 3 different colors for doing the. I started working on the. I'm going to use it on the B9 robot, and I'm going to use it on the Terminator 2 Hunter Killer tank thing.
I was going to try to repaint these. I've seen some rubber paint out there, rubber color. Does anybody ever use that?
For the tires?
Yeah, for the tires.
No. Just you could use either like a regular satin black or even a flat black, I guess.
The black is too black for tires. You probably want something like in Tamiya. You want like NATO black or something like that, which is it's not pure black.
Oh, okay.
It's more like a chalky black.
Yeah, that's what I was looking
Vallejo has the same thing. Has a NATO black also.
And what else? You guys also know about painting the figures. Those. Posted much more of those. I noticed that you plussed my ill attempt on bare metal foil my bat boat, 1966 bat boat. That bat boat was actually done in really super old bare metal foil, and I don't know how it looked all right. Maybe it looks all right in a picture, but in reality, it's like, oh my. I didn't know a whole lot about bare metal foil when I did that, and I didn't realize the older it is, the worse it is to use.
Yeah, it has a definite shelf life. I remember. Do any of you guys follow? Well, I know John does. The John that we just spoke to a minute ago, he obviously does because he's talking about Dr. Cranky. But you guys follow Dr. Cranky on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
I watched some of his videos, sir.
Yeah, he's got a great 2-part video out there about how to use that bare metal foil, and he explains it in really simple, easy to understand terms too. And he was talking about that it does have a shelf life to it. In fact, I think even the product manufacturer tells you not to buy it if it's over 3 or 4 months old or something like that. They have a date on it.
Yeah.
Package apparently.
Actually, it does. I love it because there's different shades of that stuff. They got like gunmetal. Actually, they got one called black chrome, which I don't.
Oh yeah, and they've even got carbon fiber, like to simulate carbon fiber.
Yes, actually. Yeah. I thought that was pretty slick. I ordered some of that. Not magnetic wire, but it's 30 gauge wire I'm going to use to I'm going to try to channel out like you did on your Batmobile. Put the channels in there, but not. Hopefully, I ain't going to score it so deep that this is pretty thin as it is. Pretty thin.
Oh, the arch above the cockpit.
Yeah, the arch above the cockpit.
Yeah.
Hopefully I won't. I like that tool that you had, that scriber tool. You put your thumb in.
Oh yeah, did you get one?
Well, I've seen that with a couple different ways of using types of tools. Like X-Acto makes different types of hook blades that's similar. But I've seen those, and those really, really, really work nice in a couple different areas, and I've always wanted to.
Yeah, what I really like about it is that it's unique in that you can, when you're doing your scribing with it, it's got a double-edged blade on it so you can push and pull and it'll cut both ways.
Now, is yours by a company called Cleveland Modelers? Cleveland Models?
No, it's made by a company called UMM USA.
A company called Cleveland Modelers used to make something like that.
They have a website that's that thing. When I first saw it, I try to remember, somebody else had a YouTube video where they were demonstrating a guy that builds a lot of military models, and went to their website. This was like 6 months ago or so, and it was out of stock for a long time. I kept going back and checking, and they finally got some in. So it might be something that they don't have in stock all the time too. I'm not sure. Like $12, but I've used it a whole lot. It's worth every penny.
I believe it. Especially if you're doing panel lines. If you've ever tried to score those with like a pin or something else. You made it also a really good tip about cutting panel lines using that clicker tape, for the label maker.
That was a tip that I got off of his video that he was talking about that, like, it's hard to use if you're going to make curves on a flat surface, because that tape will not curve without kinking. It's so stiff. But like if you're, like, say on your Enterprise refit, if you were wanting to rescribe the lines like on the secondary hull, which you're going to wind up doing a little bit, you're going to get either a little bit of glue in one of the seams, or you're going to get some putty in one of the seams, like especially back around the fan tail and all that. You're going to have to rescribe it. And that's nice for that, because that'll lay right on there on that curve and follow that curve, and you just lay that edge right against it. And the nice thing is you can control the width, like how wide you want your scribe line to be just by how you push on it. It'll get wider the deeper you cut. It's got a kind of a V groove to it, and it works really nice. Cuts, you don't want to get that thing in the tip of it anywhere near your finger, though. It's like razor sharp. It's made out of some really good material. I don't know what it's made out of, but it's guaranteed to never go dull for life.
Yeah, see, I've made a bunch of wooden model airplanes, not remote control, but I did those too. And but I've tried cutting those panel lines before I knew about the tape. It's a chore. You don't want to do a couple more, kind of wear your patience out.
Yeah.
Do a couple and kind of like chill out with yourself, because you're going to have to take your time and really don't push, like trying to make all the cut at once. I've learned just to make several light cuts on top of each other.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. Did you figure out what kind of battery you're going to be able to fit in the car there, Mike?
Like last week we discussed about the 9-volt. And I really would like to use a coin battery, and I personally it would work better if I would. And we were discussing about the board not fitting on the chassis like that. But what about putting it in on top like this? Since there's so much more room up there, like that. Like that.
Yeah, you can put it in any way you want.
Or even put it back here like that on top. That would actually give me a lot more room if I did it that way. I wouldn't have to worry about matching it all up against the chassis.
Right.
Even cutting holes through the back side here for that bar, the lights through that bar would make it a whole lot easier. Using that real thin wire is going to be a learning experience, and I hope it's not going to be one that makes you go, oh my, why'd I do that for? You really have to think about what you're going to do next. I guess that's the beauty of modeling, knowing what to do next. Thanks for giving me some time. Probably need to move on to somebody else.
Oh, well, thanks for showing everything, Mike. And, yep, that's what we're here for. And let's see what Tag's doing. Tag, last time we saw, he was working on a couple of cool projects. What do you got going on today, Tag?
I have a mess going on today. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out my guns for this big battleship thing that I'm slowly working on. So I've just got a whole mess of pieces, and I'm just trying pieces together and stuff, so there's not really anything to show as far as that's concerned. And this is as far as I've gotten on I did cut the backs off for the engines.
I really like how that's coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out pretty good. I mean, there's going to be a lot of filling. This is an old. I really like Trumpeter. They have really good stuff. But if it's an old kit, there's lots of flash. Lots of stuff doesn't fit correctly. You know, it's actually a pain in the butt. But it'll get there. That's why I usually have 2 or 3 things going on at a time. So if I get frustrated with one, I just go to another one so that I don't break the first one. Like trying to see if it'll fly.
Yeah. Is Trumpeter what used to be Airfix?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
No, Trumpeter's a Chinese company.
Oh, okay.
And they make, some of the nicest new kits coming out are from Trumpeter. Actually.
Yeah, because I have some of their tanks for parts and stuff like that. But these are all kits that have all been computer-aided design and crisp. But the ones that are really old that they just keep repopping, the panel lines are shallow. It's just the molds are getting old. It's just been used so many times. They haven't been retooled. So that's the problem with this 132, the P38 kit that I'm making that out of. But like I said, yeah. But let me see if I can pull my camera off here. When I mean mess, I mean mess. It's just.
Oh, that's not bad at all, Tag.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of parts, and you just kind of like play with part after part. That's one of the things about kit bashing is it takes a lot more time because you can see it in your head, but then you got to try to find the parts to make it happen. And if you can't, then you have to make the parts. But that's where I'm at.
Cool. Well, we're looking forward to seeing more of that one. Let's talk to Ralph and see what he's got going on in his world. How's it going today, Ralph?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Weather's much more New England like today than yesterday. Felt like it was in Arizona, like a oven. But all is well. Just hanging out, listening to what you guys are doing. Not much on this end. Other than what we've been working on all along. The B9 is out there. The Reliant Photon torpedo with the quad effect is there. Eventually we'll get back to the Voyager and get that situated. But we got some side projects from other people, and one of them is Jamie. I still owe him for the Stinger, and then he wants that little Seaview sub lighting kit. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things going on that, trying to please everyone, so to speak. But anyway, that's pretty much for now.
Hey, Ralph. Are you ready
Yes,
to
I
see this?
was talking to Ralph the other day about the board, saying, because I've sealed my Voyager out now, but I spoke to Ralph and said that 4 photon torpedo board would work on the Voyager ship.
Yeah, the Voyager, I could use that, John. That's correct. Although my understanding on the Voyager, I was talking to quite a few other people, and originally when I wanted to come up with the weapons for it, I wanted to have the like we did on the new photon torpedo for the refit or the Enterprise 1701, is we would light them up. We would want to ramp them up to a certain level, not full bright, and then shoot them and keep them at that level, and then shoot the other one, and then kind of decay. So it's not as straightforward as the Reliant one. But other things came up, and we kind of just put that aside and moved on to other things. But eventually we'll get back to it, and we'll do something for that. That's kind of special for the Voyager, so to speak.
Okay. I like them photon torpedoes, the way that they fire. It looks really good.
Thank you, John.
Ralph, I was going to tell you that I was talking to Jerry over the weekend, and we're doing a lot of research on that. Jerry's actually got 2 of those flying saucers that he got from fantastic plastic.
Uh-huh.
And I got some screenshots that I'm going to send you an email from the video where the gal that's showing the model, the studio model.
You
And,
found it?
Yeah, one thing that's interesting about that is, I don't know if you remember when we were talking about it when we were looking at the model at the Jersey Fest show. I was thinking about, what to do with those screens. The perimeter of the model has that open sort of screen.
Yeah.
Well, the actual studio model, those were open. They didn't have any kind of diffuser or anything like that in there, like a clear part that was diffused with light. And interestingly enough, what they did is they used a grain of wheat bulbs, and there's a light on every fourth spoke of the model.
Yeah.
And what they've got going on there is the actual spoke that the light is on, I was asking Jerry if there was any type of an LED that he knew of that was sort of a long, thin cylinder shape, because
I've seen them. Yeah.
What they've got on that is they've got that actual whole spoke. Each spoke that is lit is transparent, and the other spokes are painted the color of the hull, which is sort of a gray color. So each spoke, I'll send you the pictures, but you'll see it up close. There's an up close picture that shows
when you get done with them.
the model with the lights turned on, and you can see that spoke is just some kind of clear plastic, and they've got a grain of wheat bulb behind it. And the grain of wheat bulbs are going to give sort of a warm white light, where when you looked, when they talked about the how they did post-production on the model, they used filters. They had to make 4 passes when the ship went past. They first shot the lights, and then they shot something else, and they had to put all 4 together in front of a matte shot or whatever. And they brightened the lights up to make them look more like a regular bright fluorescent white light.
Oh, I've seen them in red, at least from the the picture from Fantastic Plastic. That's how this is. It's all been. By the way, it's all done, Boyd. I got to send it to you.
Okay.
It's all done. And it's got 74 red LEDs.
Wow.
Yeah. And because Keith in Australia, he's the one that pretty much spurred this on, because he was getting one. Actually, now he has it. And he had my board. Now, originally when he and I spoke, which was a couple of months ago, I told him that we could probably do it with the small type board and use LED strip tape. And then when I got mine, when I saw how it works, I said, the LED strip tape is not going to work out for geometry purposes and to light the top and bottom. So I scrapped that idea, but he can still use his board to drive all those LEDs, because the one I did, the only difference is it's got some connectors on, so the customers will not have to solder to the board. They can just, it's almost like the cardboard, except this one's got a connector for the power supply and the on-off switch, so they'll never have to connect to the board. There is one wire coming out of the board, which we put on. There will be a plus feed to all those LEDs.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything is it's almost like a plug and play on the board end, except that you got to put in all those LEDs. And I'm going to send you the video. I know we've been busy with other stuff, Boyd, so I didn't want to, throw too much at you. But that is done. I showed the video to Keith because he actually has one, and he purchased the board. And he came back with a question if we could do the chasing effect instead of like we do diagonal, from north to south, and then it chases like that, right? We fire 2 banks at a time.
Yeah.
He was looking at a Jupiter 2 fusion core, which fires every 90 degrees. So it's like an X.
Right.
So basically, it gives a different optical illusion of the rotating part, and that can be done. It's just a matter of, we use the same number of outputs. It's just a matter how you break up those 74 LEDs.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I can research that a little bit more and see how it's going to look. I can actually, I still have it in my possession, so I can rewire it and see if the effect is as good or better or neutral versus the effect that's shown now, which I know you haven't seen yet.
Okay, cool.
And the only way for the sake of just showing a video, you know, it's those fins that make out the outer circumference. It's a semicircle. What I did, Boyd, for the video to show Keith, I just did a half a circle, not the full 360 degrees.
Right.
And what I did is I just put, believe it or not, a matte type Scotch, you know, Scotch tape that you roll off the roll. They have types that look like a matte finish, and that diffused it pretty good. You'll see, you know. But I'm sure you guys will come up with all different ways. Because the LED is mounted perpendicular to the side of the circumference of that flying saucer, when you put the two pieces together, now we don't have to, you know, it lights the top and bottom. Well, if we used LED strip, the problem was to light both the top and the bottom, and the LED strips were not going to fit in.
Right.
Between those two, you know, semicircle ring sections.
Right.
So yeah, but I mean, if the color needs to change, you think the color is a different color based on, you know, we can change that.
Yeah. What size LEDs did you use, Ralph?
3 millimeters.
Okay.
Each LED is on center 0.379 inches. You drill them out. Yep, you drill them out. I'll show you. I have a instructional video how I went about it. Basically, you put the sauce. It's two halves, as you saw, right?
Yeah.
You put them together, and for expediency's sake, you can use hot glue all around the ridges of the circumference. It will bond the two sections together good enough for you to drill pilot holes all the way around the circumference, and then drill the regular size hole all the way around the circumference. And when you're done, you can actually just peel the hot glue that's now solidified, because it doesn't really stick well to styrene.
Oh, right,
Or is easier to, like, you know, the regular ships that we all work with.
Right.
So yeah, so anyway, it's done, and it looks pretty good.
That's cool. Yeah, that's going to be a popular kit, I think. We were looking at all the paint patterns and everything on it, talk about coming up with masks for it and everything already, and there's a lot more detail. You know, there's like on the top of it, there's like some antennas that stick up, and there's a dome on the top, and there's like some exhaust parts on there and all that. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's the first time
I'm a big fan of flying saucers anyway, so.
Yeah, first time I worked with styrene. It drills well, but I guess you guys could be careful with this sanding. I didn't do any sanding. I just kind of cut. But I guess, you know, the fine powder is not too good to breathe in.
Right. Yeah. Definitely not. Yeah. Jerry and I were both impressed. He was talking about the same thing. You know, when I looked at the kit there, the molds themselves it's like a 3D printed model. I mean, it's crisp and clean. I mean, you wouldn't believe it's a resin model at all. It's beautiful. Really fine detail on it. Those screens especially, they're perfect.
Yeah. And another flying saucer. This is the one that I was at Jersey Fest, and I spoke to Atlantis Model, those guys out of New York. Yeah, they gave me their triangular flying saucer. So, it's done, but I basically took time to paint it because I'm not as proficient as you guys, but it came out all right. It's painted to a point where it can show off the little engine effect on the bottom. They wanted a blue color, so that's what I gave them, the folks at Atlantis. And I also wired in 3 LEDs on each corner. They're steady on, just as a marker, so to speak, just to give it some more lighting effect other than just a spinning engine. So I will be shooting a video once that's done. I just got to take off some of the paint on the top so those 3 little spotlights can show through on each corner of the triangle part of the saucer. We can't even call it a saucer. It's a triangular flying UFO device.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. It's actually supposed to be the famous UFO that people over in Belgium saw, like back in the 1990s. Be really huge. It was, oh, I don't know. They estimated it was to be, like half a mile long or something like that. And people all over in Belgium were seeing it, even the police, and it was a pretty big deal back in the 90s.
There you go. So.
Yeah, there's videos of the lights and stuff that were on it at night, the way they would see it and everything, and they saw a shape. And to this day, they've never explained it. A lot of public officials said they actually saw it. People that are supposed to be credible or whatever. So.
Oh, there you go. So there is life after all.
Well-known cases or whatever. Okay, well, I'm going to show you guys real quick. We've got quite a few questions that are coming in, but before we get to those, I'll just show you guys real quick. I've got this. We showed it on our model guys show last night. Some of you may not have seen it. I'll switch cameras here real quick. We've just worked on this chiller grill for the one-scale Reliant kit that we're working on. And we just decided to make our own chiller grill. I did some light blocking on this last night, so hopefully you guys can see it a little bit better this time. And these low-resolution cameras on Google don't do a lot of good here, but it's just held in there temporarily with some tape right now. But you can see it gives a really nice blue glowing effect, and we've got our bars going across here. We've got the correct 5-bar pattern going on there. We've still got to paint the back half of this here to, that the way it's supposed to trail off there a little bit. And I've got my Raytheon lighting going on this, but I think the camera's not picking it up. But we've got a registry Raytheon here and the little round one at the front that the Reliant had. And that was just all done with 2 strips of double-density white LED tape. And that's going to light pretty much everything here. We're going to have to put an SMD in the back there for the little wing where the thruster thing is, but that's going to light our crystal here on the top and our side Raytheon lighting, and then we got to put a couple of SMDs here in the front to do the floodlights that are kind of unique to the Reliant. They're on the inboard side of the nacelle, and they face toward each other instead of forward facing like they do on the Enterprise. So that turned out really good, and to do that we just used a couple of pieces of styrene in 040 thickness, just regular white styrene, and painted over them with some Tamiya transparent blue. And I just experimented as far as how many coats of the blue that I put on there to where I got it to where I like the shade of the, look like the correct shade of blue, kind of a medium blue. And that was it. So there's an alternative way you can do. Actually, what I tried at first is I tried to just paint the Tamiya blue on the existing grill and see if I could backlight it that way, just by not light blocking. But unfortunately, the styrene that this model is made out of is not a pure white. If it would have been a pure white, it would have worked perfect. But this model is made out of an off-white, and so it actually, when you try to backlight it, it looks a little bit green. So that didn't work. But anyway, we used some pure white styrene here, and that took care of that problem. So pretty happy with how that turned out.
The grill just looks like an original part.
I am going to take we've got quite a few questions and comments that have came in, guys. I'll go through those real quick here. Let me switch back to my other camera real quick. We've got Jim's actually watching, and he said that SMD that we were talking about earlier, John, was the 0805 SMD. And that answers that question. We've got one from Michael Kovac here that you guys might be able to answer. It says, for a clear part that's been painted with Future Pledge, can you apply liquid mask over that without any problems? Have you guys ever had any experience with that?
No, don't do that. This is the perfect example, because that stuff, I had a heck of a time trying to put that bare metal foil on top of this clear with this. It
I think what he's saying. I think what he's saying is that he's got a clear part that he applied some future clear over it, and then he wants to do some masking on it. He's wondering if it's going to peel off the future if he does that. I have never tried that, so I can't answer it honestly.
I did that on the X-Wing fighter where I put the future on it and I put the black masking on top of there, and it didn't take up in that case, it didn't take, the black masking didn't take up the future at all, believe it or not.
Okay, well that's encouraging. I know that liquid mask doesn't stick really super strong, so maybe what you want to do there, Mike, is experiment on a spare piece of clear or something and try that, and before you actually do it on your actual part that you're going to use, and see what happens.
I concur.
Another one from a question from Bruce Mortel. I'm not quite sure if I understand it, but he says, I'm spending too much money on Tamiya paint. Is there any other paint that will work with this paint? I don't know what paint he's needing to work with, but there's less expensive paints than Tamiya, but it depends on what you're trying to use it for. If there's a certain color that you need or something like that. Okay, there's more to it here. Let's see if we can figure out what paint he's talking about. Okay, well, we got another one here from Michael Kovac. It says, one more question for the panel. What is the proper way to grind down LED so it fits the scale of your model without destroying the diode? You want to tackle that one?
What was the question?
Very slowly.
The question was, what is the proper way to grind down an LED so it fits the scale of your model without destroying the diode?
Wow. I put them in my canopy. They were pretty small, but I had to literally use my sander. Slowly whittled it down until I got the size I wanted. And I went through 2 or 3 of them before I got what I needed. So you might lose 1 or 2 before you get what you need.
Yeah.
Your other alternative is to go with fiber optics.
Yep.
It might help to turn it on too.
Yeah.
When you grind it, so you can see where the light actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of see the diode. I have grinded down a lot of them, and yeah, you can get to a point when you can go too far. That's for sure. But you just want to, like they were saying, you just want to take it really slow. And I just use a Dremel tool with the round sanding hub and hold the back half of the LED and just kind of go around it like that. Just go around and round and round until I get it down and down. And the tip, you know, to actually make it shorter, you can grind quite a bit off because the tip is extending beyond the diode quite a ways. But from side to side, like on the sides of the LED, the diode's actually pretty close, so you can't take away a lot of material right there. You'll go through and you'll damage the diode. But the best thing to do is, if you can't get it where you need it, is to actually just spend the money and get smaller LEDs that are the proper size that you're looking for.
What I've been doing is I've been using a jeweler's file, the very small ones, and I've been putting the file on my bench and getting the LED in my hand and gently rubbing backwards and forwards on the file.
Yep, that's a good way to do it. That way you can take it real easy.
You can take your time and just like have it flat on the bench, keep a hold of it, get your LED in the other hand, and just drag it backwards and forwards gently. Because I've been doing that for the fiber optics. I've been flattening them down before I drill the hole.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can turn it on the side and grind it down sideways or flat, whichever way. You've got quite a bit of control over it doing it that way.
Right, yep. Do it in increments and check it and make sure you're not going too far. But there are so many different types of LEDs available now that and it's true, when you're doing a build of these models now, you want to pay attention to the scale, because if you put LEDs that are too big for the model, it really puts the model out of scale, and then it starts looking more toy-like than it does you know, like a replica of a real ship. So it's easy to overlight everything on these models, you know. When you look at a giant ship, I mean, think about it. Besides, like if you see I've been down to the coast here in Texas, you know, doing a lot of fishing, and you see these giant ships that come in and out of the harbor down there. I'm just giving an example, and it would be similar on a large spaceship if you were looking at it in real life. You know, you can see like the window ports, you know, the big window ports that are lit up really bright, but like the navigation lights, you know, the green and the red lights that are on them and things like that. You can't actually see those until they start getting really close to you, unless you're looking at them through a pair of binoculars or something like that. They're not meant to be like, you know, lit up super bright so you can see them glowing where they're like lighting up the whole half of the saucer on the top of a model or whatever. They're just supposed to be small little pinpoints of light, you know, that are there, and they're noticeable, but they're not supposed to be putting on a big halo of light around them. So, you know, working on your scale with your lighting is really important to making the model look more realistic.
Yeah, I made that mistake when I built the Enterprise D. I used 3mm bulbs all the way around, and when I turn it on, it does resemble a Christmas tree.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when we all started building, we were just putting some of my early builds. I was just putting 5mm LEDs in the saucers, you know, for my marker lights and stuff. And they were like huge. They looked like little, you know, the little police sirens on the top of the old police cars. And you learn, you know, you go along and you learn. You start improving as you go.
That's it.
Well, the SMDs really help with the scale thing, I think.
Oh, absolutely, they do. Yeah. Let me see what I've got else here. Okay, I've got one from K-Tube 1222. It says the MPC round 2 repop of the 1/2000 scale Base 1999 Moonbase Alpha kit is now out. It includes 5 all-new landing pads. Previous releases only had 3. A 4-piece vacuum form base, and it also comes with new in-scale Eagle transporters. So that's kind of neat. I remember the original kit back in the day. It was not that great of a kit, but it sounds like they actually improved on one of their repops this time. So that's good to hear. And he also commented back to Bruce, said, some of us use acrylic craft paint for our models. I use that type of paint, thin with Pledge Floor Care multi-surface finish. It turns out quite nice. You can get them at Michael's or Hobby Lobby and even at Walmart. That helped answer Bruce's question from a minute ago. And that's all we had for questions, guys, so I'll open it up to the floor. One thing I wanted to mention, too, to you, Ralph, I have a client that's interested in having me build an Enterprise E, and so I was looking at the that phaser strip on the top. I know you've got that effect, and there's been different ways that people are looking at, you know, like whether building a light box around that strip so you could put the LEDs in there and have it, you know, do the. I think Armando's working on a similar setup. It's on a different kind of a ship, but
it's the Akira, but it's the same thing. Yeah, you're gonna have to use small LEDs, and he dug out. He showed a build of it. He made a channel.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right.
The resin kit, isn't it?
I came up with a great solution for instead of doing building a light blocking box around that thing. All you have to do is you dig out the trench like you're gonna, you know, you got to be careful not to go through. But the Enterprise E has that same ridge on the top for the phaser strip, and the D does for. You could do it the same on every single one of these models, but you cut out your trench, you mount your LEDs in there, and then you just put a bead of clear silicone over the top of that trench, or a strip of black silicone. Actually, you want to use the. I take that back. The clear silicone, for the reason that you're going to put a bead of the silicone down in there, right? And you're going to cover up all the LEDs with it. Then you're going to come back and you're going to light block paint that over the top. So what's going to happen is you're not going to light block the individual LEDs so that you're going to get the proper effect that you want. But you're not going to get the bleed off from the phaser lights bleeding into the windows and such on the model. But you're going to get the shadow effect from the LEDs when that strip actually moves. It looks like a
continuous flow, right?
Yeah, it'll give you and so now you can, this clear silicone will transmit that light, right? So that it's got, it'll give it, not complete. You're never going to get a complete thing like it does on the actual show because you just have to use 200 LEDs.
Right.
But to get the effect that you're talking about now, that works really good, and that totally eliminates the need to build like a light box or anything like that, or use any of that tubing.
Yep. Because you've actually cut, light block the back of it, and that's all you care.
And by painting over the top of it, you're maintaining the clear inner part of it.
Right.
That's gonna allow the light. And this is the stuff I used right here. This regular General Electric clear silicone.
Now, I was going to say something to you because you mentioned silicone. We have to be careful. Silicone, there are some silicones, but they're expensive. They will not attack electronic boards. Now, granted, you're not working on a board. You're just working on an SMD, and it may be fine. It may not, the acidity will not attack the bond. But you have to be careful with silicone if you use it on the back of a printed circuit board to adhere it to something, whether it's inside of a ship or a board or something. That's why I think I might even mention that in the old days, use silicone, but I neglected to say the proper type of silicone, because there are some silicone that are very acidic. They will destroy the board over time. It won't happen in a day. It may not even happen in a year. But all of a sudden, that will happen. How about this board? You can either do that because it is an LED.
Fill that trench with crystal clear too.
How about hot glue?
Well, hot glue won't dry with the same
consistency.
It's too opaque. It's not clear enough.
Okay.
I was just thinking, if you had cut the trench in there, you could fill that trench with. Because you're going to glue the SMD down anyway.
Yeah.
You could fill that trench with microcrystal clear.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't attack the LED, use whatever means.
Oh, that stuff won't attack it at all. It's completely
awesome.
It's like Elmer's glue.
Yeah, I have to defer to you guys because I really don't do that kind of work. But yeah.
It would just take longer to dry, being that you would microcrystal clear. If you put it on something fairly thick, it will probably take 2 or 3 days before it'll dry completely, where it'll go back to being completely clear. Then you could paint over it. You could light block it from the outside, after it's all dry, and there you are. You're good to go. You don't need to build any kind of a light box or anything like that.
Oh, that's an awesome. I like that. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah, I started working on the idea when I got a guy that got a hold of me that wants me to do an Enterprise E, and he wanted to do the phaser effect. So I thought, well, there's got to be a simpler way than to go to all that trouble to build a light box, and then on the Enterprise D, for example, the Enterprise D, where the area where the phaser is, the saucer is kind of narrow, so you've only got a little bit of room to even build a light box in there and get the saucer to close. So you just cut the trench in there, and then fill this stuff up. You're going to have a flush. It'll be almost flush. It'll be like it was originally.
Yeah.
Wow. And problem solved. So.
Yeah, that's great. Now I can, hopefully you'll make a nice video of it, because people do ask me from time to time, what is the best way to achieve this, and basically, I try to send them to what Armando did with his, the way he did it. But this sounds great, Boyd. Yeah, why not? Let's
yeah, I think ever since everybody saw that General Martok guy that did his Enterprise E. That video that he showed of that phaser effect on the top, everybody's going to want one of these now. So, So anyway, okay, guys. Well, general discussion. What anybody has, any questions or comments, anything they want to bring up?
So, hey Ralph, you ready for me to finish up Dracula yet?
Sure. We got him.
Well, as soon as I get a few more supplies. The wiring yet for this.
Oh, yeah, that's always you always got to have your supplies.
Yeah, make sure I'm going to color code the wire.
Yeah.
Put that together.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see that done.
I know you're probably like, man, is he ever going to complete that?
I know.
Like, what happened? You throw it away?
Well, it is a hobby, and sometimes
Life kicks in, right, Tag?
Yeah. Sometimes life just kind of gets in your way.
That's what I say sometimes about sometimes people want things done so quickly. I say, oh my God, it's not, I'm not providing surgical equipment.
Right. I'm not Sony, for crying out loud. I don't have billions of people working for me.
Yeah, I mean, for large orders, we do have, we use our own manufacturing house to do the large order. So, but on special designs, they just take time.
Yeah.
We've got a comment, a little bit of a model news comment out there from KTube again, and it's related to the Cult TV Man says that the Revell 1/30th scale X-Wing kit number 06690 U.S. release has been delayed indefinitely. Look for Amazon Marketplace seller Buy for Less UK to get one of the best import prices on this kit, starting off at $75.31. Free shipping. I can't believe that we actually had somebody from the audience that got a plug-in for Amazon before Tag did. That's
I know. And I was just getting ready to say that the mailman told me yesterday that now they've started order before 10 and get same-day shipping.
Ah.
For Amazon.
Hey, Tag, are they going to drone it into you?
The warehouse is too far.
Oh, man.
Plus, a lot of my packages are too heavy. I mean, they're only going to be like little packages.
Buy less and more often, Tag.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the American way, isn't it?
Like every time we order from Amazon,
actually, that's the Walmart way. Buy less and more often.
Yeah, Bruce here explained his question a little bit more too. He's saying that he was using a lot of Tamiya paint, and he wanted to find a less expensive alternative that's similar in quality to Tamiya. He's been working on his Enterprise refit, I believe, and he's been using a white finish with a pearl white finish for his masks, and wanted to know if there was another type of paint out there that's similar, that's in pearl white, that would be less expensive than Tamiya.
Unfortunately, most manufacturers' colors don't match, even if they call it the same thing.
Right.
And so that presents a problem. Pre-mixed stuff is going to cost you. Like I use Vallejo, a lot of their Model Air, and so it's already, pre-thinned and all that stuff, which is part of the reason you pay more. Only thing I can think of is just getting rattle cans and decanning them.
Right. Well, I'm not even sure if he's spraying with an airbrush or not. He's saying he's been using Tamiya, so I'm assuming he might have been spraying out of a can.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Airbrush. One thing I was going to ask you guys about, I have a question for you guys. Has anybody here worked extensively or even at all with any of these all-clad metal-looking paints that they have out now?
I have.
What do you think of them, John? And is there anything? The only thing that I know is that I've heard talking to Armando about it, because Armando did a build of that Terminator exoskeleton that was supposed to look kind of chrome.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that in order to get the chrome look to look really good on that you had to paint the model first with some really glossy black, and then apply the chrome clad over the top of that, and that gives it that extra deep chrome kind of luster. So is that what you've kind of seen with all their colors, or is it just for the chrome?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. First is, you really want a beautiful black finish as your base coat for whatever you're going to spray the metal on. The second part is, this isn't really paint so much as it is really tiny metal flecks, and so what you're really doing is you're putting real metal onto the surface, and when and there are a couple of implications to that. First is a number of the paints are also buffing paints, which means once you spray it on, you can actually rub it, and it'll actually get shinier. So you can rub it with like a microfiber cloth or something like that, felt, and it'll get shinier. So you can use that for maybe differentiating one panel from another. The other thing is you probably want to seal it up because it's pretty vulnerable all by itself. So you probably, but you may not want to if you like what you have. But definitely gloss black first, then the color, then the sealer.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, it's lacquer based, so I'm assuming that it would be kind of soft. Most lacquers are easily chipped or scratched.
Oh, it would be. But you kind of want to. What you do want to use the sealer for it after you get it where you need it. So, but the main thing with these metal things is it's really any kind of scratch or imperfection is going to be very apparent. You have to be super diligent on sanding and filling, and then get the if you can get a pure black gloss finish, you probably are close to what you want, and then you still might find something when you spray it on.
Yeah. Well, I have an automotive clear coat that I use that I would put my black base down and then put an automotive clear coat that would be like you've seen some of the model cars we painted here where it's a beautiful mirror finish. That like that GTO that we painted for Jeremy. So I know I can get a really smooth, real glossy black finish on it first, and that's what I was planning on doing. And but the colors that I've got, I'm not sure. I've got to go back and look. It's going to be for this Terminator tank killer thing, and the colors that I've chosen for, I don't think there's a lot of chrome on it. It's mostly magnesium, polished aluminum, regular aluminum, and a couple other colors. I bought like 5 or 6 of these.
I don't have your email, Boy, but I can send you pictures of I did a PT boat, and I did the torpedoes are brass. And I've had people tell me people ask me, is that real? Are they real? And no, they're plastic. That's how good it can be. And so you're definitely on the right track. If you do beautiful gloss, black, and then spray, you're going to like what you get.
Awesome. Yeah, my email is real simple, John. It's info@trekworks.net.
All right, I'll send you some torpedo pictures.
Cool. All right.
You're supposed to say shoot you some torpedo pictures.
Oh, info@trekworks.net.
Well, I might be interested in some torpedo. So is there a specific color for that? Because I was going to tell you guys, I've been trying to track down that darn U-boat kit, right? I went through a hell of a time trying to get that model. I'm telling you what. There's an outfit out there. Well, first of all, I got a link from a couple people over at Sci-Fi Model Action that said that Mark Twain Hobby had it in stock. And when I went to their clicked on the link, it said that they had 2 of the models in stock. So it's a discontinued kit. I thought, well, I'll call them and find out. And sure enough, they didn't have it. It was an old link. And then I found one
online. What kit are you looking for?
It's the 172 scale German U-boat Type 7C. Not the Atlantic version. The standard Type 7C. And the kit's been discontinued for a couple of years now, and they've just come out with a Type 9 or whatever, a Type 10 that's currently in production. Yeah, Type 9 in 172 scale. That one you can find everywhere, but I want to do the U-boat from the movie Das Boot, and that was a Type 7C.
Yeah.
And, so anyway, then I found another place online called the Modeler's Workbench. And I'm just telling you guys right now, don't order anything from them because the whole website doesn't even exist. They haven't taken anything down. And I placed the order. They said they had it in stock. I placed the order, and they charged my PayPal, They said they would only charge your PayPal after after they ship the order. Well, they didn't ship it, and so I checked into it further and found out they had a Twitter account and a Facebook account. They haven't even been active for like the last 2 years. So I got to go through PayPal to get my refund on that. But then I finally found one on. There was like 4 or 5 of them that were listed, but they were all in the UK, and I didn't want to send away that far for it. So finally somebody popped up on eBay that had one here in the States, and I finally got one. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. But yeah, that thing was really, really hard to track down.
I actually got this the other day.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Yeah, the 1-350.
Yeah,
That's an expensive
I
kit.
got that one on the shelf over at my local hobby store. I've looked at it.
I got it on eBay for $75, including shipping.
Oh
That's
my
pretty
gosh,
cool.
that's great.
Brand new. I just took the cellophane off of it when it got here.
That the new tool
Nice
or
kit.
the old one?
That I don't know.
That's the new release.
Is it? Because it's got some nice foil on the
Yeah.
front, on the
That's
Japanese
the
letters.
kit we've got sitting on the shelf at my hobby store up the road here.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
nice
a great
model.
price for that kit.
Yeah, I just happened to stumble on it. I was actually looking for the other Yamato, the Star Blazers Yamato. You came across this one. So yeah, I was like $76. That's a steal.
Yeah,
So I
it's
bought
like on eBay, or I just did a Google. It's like $175.
Yeah, that's a deal. I would have snapped that up in a heartbeat. Yeah, they
And that's how stashes grow.
Oh yeah,
I was
that's
gonna say,
exactly
Pat-
how they grow.
Meg, I don't know if you've checked Bondi's site lately, but they've just released a really nice 1/500 scale of the space battleship Yamato kit. That's right from the new. They did the new animated series, 2199.
Right.
It's a beautiful model. It's got some lighting in it. It's the next best model to the 350.
So that's the next size down from the one that you did.
Yeah, and it's still plenty big. It's still going to be, I don't know,
Right.
at least 20-something inches long, and yeah, real nice. Because there's some minor changes that they did to the one in the animated series. It's the hull is slightly shaped just a little different, and the mouth on it is supposed to look more like a shark mouth, sort of. But it's a beautiful kit, really nice.
Yeah, I still haven't watched it. I mean, my little brother was all into that and all the Gundam stuff, and I do have some Gundam stuff because they're really cool kits. I mean, the Japanese are the best at that. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh no, they are. Right now, I think I saw on their website that the 350 is out of production. So on eBay right now, those things are up to $600 or $700.
Yeah, that's how I came across this one. I was looking to see, because you just have to troll eBay a lot, and every once in a while you get somebody that's desperate or they don't know what they have. They picked it up at a yard sale or something like that, and
Or they list it in the wrong category. Yeah, and it's hard. You type in certain words and you find it, and then other people are not seeing it, and that's I remember back in the day when you could get good deals off of eBay all the time, but now everybody knows about it. The sellers and the buyers.
Yeah, because I've been on eBay, gosh, probably a good 12 years now.
Yeah.
And it's seen a lot of changes. I mean, it's a lot safer now for people to buy stuff and not get ripped off. But like I always say, though, I mean, Amazon is just slowly killing all the little small business that was on there because they can't compete with the shipping. I mean, they have to charge $8 to $11 for USPS. And Amazon doesn't have to do that.
Right. Yeah, it's funny, this U-boat kit, I was seeing prices like all over the place, everywhere from $150 all the way up to like $450. And I got this one for $125, but it's not the newest release. I read some stuff about it on different forums, and they said the earlier release was better because the molds are better. But the later release comes with some crew figures in scale, and I was like, well, I don't need the crew figures. I can get those anywhere. You can buy those aftermarket in 1/72 scale, real cheap. So I'd rather have the better mold of the model.
Right.
So,
I was wondering if they were talking about because obviously if a kit's not retooled, you know, after you print so many times, the metal starts wearing down, and that's
Exactly, yeah.
that's where you start getting your fit issues and.
Yeah, they were saying that the rivet detail and everything on the later kits was not as good and all that, so.
Okay.
Got the earlier one, the first release.
Right. Yeah, because I watch. There's a couple of guys. Actually, most of them are over in the UK, and they do their little reviews of a lot of the military kits. And now that a lot of the military kits are all computer-aided, designed, you know, before they go to manufacture, it's just so crisp. The detail is just so crisp.
Well,
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's a guy over in the UK that I watch all the time on YouTube. You guys in the UK, have you heard of Flory Models?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I watch his videos. He's got his channel is huge. He's got like a lot of subscribers, and as soon as he puts out a video, he's instantly got like 2,000 or 3,000 views on it. So he must be really popular over there. I mean, he does some nice demos and everything on showing. He does a lot of like military models, and he shows how to do weathering and all that kind of stuff. So he's got some good stuff on there.
They did a nice Star Destroyer.
Oh, did he? Yeah, I didn't see that one.
And also on that website, which I saved, if you go to florymodels.uk, there's, because we were talking about the Bismarck a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
They've got a beautiful build log of the Bismarck on there. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Nice.
And it's all pictures. It's not videos, but you know, I saved it all because I'm gonna use that.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I went, you know, to look to pick up some of the weathering techniques for my Viper and stuff, was from the military guys, because if anybody knows weathering, those guys know it better than anybody.
That's right. Yeah, or the model railroad guys too. They do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. What time we got here? 20 minutes too? Well, I don't have a whole lot more for you guys today. I don't have anything else to show you guys. Unless you got anything else you want to talk about, I think we might have an early one today.
Yeah, how do you say that? Was Flory or Flory?
Flory, Flory.
www.florymodels.co.uk.
There you go. But he's got a YouTube channel too, Mike.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
What do I use for the floor?
You can actually I mean, there's like a paid subscription if you want to, you know, go for some of his stuff. And so far everything I've seen is good. So.
Oh yeah, I found him doing research, or you know, because I'm going to start building some military models. I've got a Tiger tank kit here I want to do, and then I want to get a couple of ships, and then doing that U-boat. I got an email from somebody that had a thread from a guy over in I think it was Norway, that did a really nice build of that U-boat, and he used all the aftermarket stuff. But he weathered the sub a lot more than what I want to do. His sub looked like it had been like really at the very end of the war and hadn't been back to base for a long time. I didn't want to do quite that much weathering on mine as far as all the rust and everything, but got some really good tips. And the nice thing was that there was a complete entire list of all the aftermarket parts that are available for it, and you know where you get them and everything. And he had some really I couldn't read it because it's all in Norwegian or whatever, but it's he's got some really nice, clear, detailed pictures of working with all the photo etch parts and putting the guns together and all that stuff, and so that it's going to be useful. But one of the things I was going to say is I saw that they make a nice little kit. It's actually like a little mini diorama of it's the torpedo loading apparatus at the stern of the sub, where it's got like a little ramp, and they loaded the torpedoes into that sub sort of at a downward angle, you know, the nose going down, and they have a couple of crewmen right there. And I was like, hey, you maybe think about using that color that you used on your torpedo, you know, whether these were supposed to be brass or not. I'll have to research that or whatever, but might be doing some detail painting on that area there if I decide to put that kit on. I haven't decided if I'm going to put the kit like it built like it's at sea, or if it's you know, if there's some crewmen going to be on the deck and in the sail or not. I haven't made up my mind about that yet. But
well, some of the dioramas I've seen with the water, those guys are really, really good at it, and it looks it looks awesome. I really kind of like it, especially if they get it like some of those guys have gotten to where they can do it like the big waves and stuff, you know.
Oh yeah, I've got a whole bunch of links and stuff that I've saved about techniques on how to do all that. And one of the things that I thought was cool about this build that I saw, the guy took what are they called, the holes, the limbrick holes or whatever they're called on the side, you know, he opened all those up, and then he built the inner pressure hole, you know, he scratch built that just out of a tube. And I'm going to do the same thing, so you can actually, when you look in those holes, you can see it. And then scratch built the diesel exhaust pipes on the inside too, so you could see it. You know, and I was like, hey, that's really cool, and it's not that hard to do either. So I'm going to add that detail on there.
Do they have a photo etch kit for that U-boat?
Oh, they have massive amounts of photo etch for that thing. Like I said, I'll spend $100 on the model tag, and there's about $400 worth of parts for it.
Yep, exactly.
There's a wood deck, a real wood deck for it. There's a
yeah, but is it teak?
I think it is.
Is it?
I think it's real teak.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they've got everything you can imagine for that model. I mean, just beautiful stuff. Even the wood that goes inside the sail, or if you want to call it the conning tower, the wood trim that goes around in there. The little tables at the drop-down table that they had in the conning tower for where they would lay their map, made out of wood.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys are no joke, man. They're serious.
Oh yeah, and then doing all the rigging and everything, the antennas and the safety rails, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I actually watched a thing the other day, and it's something I didn't know, but the guy was making antennas for his tanks, and he was using the leftover sprues and getting it hot, and then stretching out the plastic.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, real thin, and then you just set it down and you let it dry, and then you just clip it, and it looks like a real antenna. I was like, wow, I'd have never thought of that in a million years.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you never know. There's so much info out there.
No, thank God for YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even begin to imagine the thousands of dollars in mistakes it saved me.
No, that brings up a really interesting point. I mean, we had a kind of a discussion about whether the internet was beneficial or harmful to our hobby, and I think it's both.
Well, of course, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's two aspects of it. The first aspect is, you know, when you put something out for sale on the internet, you're literally competing with every other hobby shop in America and in China and in Japan. You know, I mean, you know, if you're putting it out for sale and someone can get it to my door cheaper, I can buy it from there. I don't have to buy it from the local store. That makes it really tough. On the other hand, you know, I mean, look at our little band here. I mean, you know, there aren't that many people that are doing what we do. But yet we can be together and we can discuss stuff and share, you know, the best way to do something. And, you know, for a company like Ralph has, you know, something that does really well on a build, you know, that you do, Boyd, I mean, it almost sells itself. I mean, I bought and so that's where it can help. I mean, because, you know, you can get on a group of people that are building just the Type 7, maybe not now, but I'll bet you can find some good build logs on the Type 7, you know, that'll help you through.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And in model building, there's not a whole lot of porn, so that's...
Does that help or hurt?
Going into some new realms, you know. When I was a kid, I used to build a lot of military models. I wasn't very good at it back then, but I want to see what I can do now. You know, you're older, you're more mature, you got some skills that you improved on and everything, and you want to kind of go back and see what you can do. And there's some interesting kits, like I said. You know, I've always loved U-boats, and who can who can turn down a 4-foot long U-boat model? I mean, that's totally.
Yeah, exactly. Certainly, your wife couldn't turn it down, right?
Oh, she could. Yeah, she could.
Yeah, of course she could.
But you know, so you see these subjects that are available out there now, and you just kind of, I gotta have it, you know, and you want to expand your boundaries or whatever, and find out what you can do, and like you say, you know, there's so much. But overall, you guys are right. I mean, overall, compared to like, say, people that are into cars or whatever, like restoring old cars, if you want to say something like that, we're a really small minority, small group compared to people that are, you know, some of the other hobbies that are out there. So the modeling community is actually overall fairly small.
They'll come around.
Oh yeah, yep.
Do you consider Google Plus more of a social site than an interest site, or do you think it's more of an interest site than a social site?
I think mainly it's a social media site, and that we're just using it in a unique way as far as for the modeling stuff. But I think it's intended for young people to do all their communicating and hanging out and all that, and telling, you know, like sharing every single last moment of what they do every day. And I just don't quite get that, but
I don't either. It's like, who cares if you're at McDonald's getting a Coke?
Yeah, really.
Well, I have a true story. I have a good friend that I've known for years that I work with in the car business, and he wound up divorcing his wife over it. This is no joke, and they were married for 20 years. She just could not get off of the phone. I mean, she had the phone. You know, I can remember like several times when we would go do something social, you know, like at a sports bar or something like that. You know, we're supposed to be hanging out and eating and having fun, and she's in another world, you know, talking on the not talking, you know, doing that texting and the you know, posting on Facebook or whatever. And he said, hey, you know, they tried working it out or whatever, but she just completely withdrew, and like she's in a world where like she doesn't want to be around real people. She'd rather be in a virtual, you know. That's like a real strange phenomenon, but it's definitely out there.
We're all online telling people we shouldn't be online.
Yeah. Heck, a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I were going for a drive in the car. There's a park not too far from our house, and they have a basketball court over there, and they have a recreation area. It's a really nice. They have it fixed up really nice. It's a nice area, and you've always got to be careful when you drive through there because there's people walking all over, you know. So we were driving really slow, and I was driving along, and there was a bunch of cars parked on the side of the road. Well, all of a sudden, about a 16-year-old girl came walking out right in front of us. I mean, if I wouldn't have already been, you know, paying attention and sort of on a higher alert, I would have taken her right out. I wouldn't even have had my time to put my foot on the brake. And she stops and she looks up. I just kind of glance like, oh, what's the big deal? You know, she's walking along looking at her phone, you know, texting. Yeah. And she kind of gives us a dirty look, like, you know, and I'm like, well, wait, what's the dirty look? I mean, you're do you realize how close you know, came to being a bug on my windshield? I mean, it's they just don't get it, you know. I mean, like I said, if you know, I've seen other people drive through there, you know, 90 miles an hour, not paying any attention, and they've had actually quite a few kids over there get hit by cars and everything, and it's like, wow, you know, she could have been another statistic just like that. That would never even would have knew what hit her.
Yeah,
So,
she wouldn't even have time to text people she got hit.
Nope.
There's a Dilbert cartoon where he's standing next to somebody on their phone like that, and he goes, "You're really hard to reach unless you're not here."
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I just don't get it. I mean, I'd rather, you know, when we were younger, or when we were kids or whatever, we would. I never liked staying at home. It was punishment being at home by yourself. I always wanted to hop on my bike and go find some other kids to hang out with.
Well, it's different because, you know, when we took a cruise to Alaska this summer, and you know the ship pulls in and everybody's happy because they get, you know, connectivity again, you know. And you know, when I was I mean, it's like
That would be what you'd want to do to get away from all that, wouldn't it?
Well,
I mean,
exactly. But see, when I was a kid, my grandfather would take me up into Canada, and like we were just gone for a week. No radio except maybe if until the battery ran out. And then no TV, no phone. We'll be back when we get back, and nobody could get a hold of you. I mean, you were
off the grid.
isolated, and you have to work to get that now. I mean,
you're weird if you don't answer your cell phone or text nowadays. Yeah. I remember one of my favorite memories. I've always been a racing fan, and my favorite memories from being a kid were our family would always go camping on Memorial Day weekend. We lived in Wisconsin, so there was a lot of places you could go camping. You could go out in the sticks and you wouldn't see these campgrounds. The campsites were like not on top of each other. The next campsite over might be a quarter of a mile away, in the woods or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I remember my dad would always bring his AM radio, and I would listen to the Indy 500 on the radio, and hearing those old school names, the old drivers. But there was something about hearing the radio on the race, or hearing the race over the radio, and imagining the whole thing versus seeing it, that made it more spectacular. I don't know what that was or whatever, but I always remember that, and it just every once in a while when the Indy 500 comes on, I didn't do it this last year, but I won't watch it on TV. I'll turn it on. I'll put it on the radio and listen to it instead.
Have you guys ever gone to an actual race?
I've been to several, yeah.
Because I've only been to one, and because my next door neighbor gave me tickets to one, and I took my son and we went. And it was a NASCAR race. And,
oh yeah.
And I'm like, man, those things are loud. I was totally not prepared for like.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they're so fast that they go by, and then the sound seems like it hits like a little bit after they go past you. Yeah, they're fun. Yeah, we're big. My wife and I go to a lot of the races and stuff, But I remember going to Indy back in the 70s when they were experimenting with the turbine cars, if you guys remember that. They were actually running turbine until they outlawed them because the races were boring. They wouldn't break down. The engines just, unless somebody crashed, you didn't have any engine failures. The things would just run and run and run. So.
Well, I saw a YouTube of the new generation Formula cars. They're a hybrid technology and all this stuff. They're way quieter than the previous generations of cars. So it'll be interesting to see how it progresses.
Oh, they'll be electric or they'll be nuclear powered.
Nuclear.
Yeah.
Nuclear is a problem.
Yeah. The only reason that they've got the technology already and they can bring it down to that small scale. But the only reason we don't see nuclear or fission-powered cars is because they can't contain it if it happens to get in an accident.
Would that be like a red flag for like 50 years or something?
Yeah. And
yeah, it'd be a big red flag for several years.
My friends and I used to talk about all this technological stuff, just theorizing about all of it, just geeking out on stuff. And you talk about a show like the Jetsons, like, okay, why aren't we in the Jetsons kind of cars now? When we were kids, we all thought, hey, by the time we're grown up or whatever, if we were kids from the 60s or whatever, that you thought by the year 2000, it's going to be like the Jetsons, Well, you think about it, okay, the Jetsons, they flew around in these cars that were airborne, right? Well, what happened if they crashed into each other?
Yep.
They're going to come down on top of somebody. I mean, somebody's still down on the ground below them. And the only way you're going to have that ever work is if you have some kind of a foolproof system where, like, they're not powered by their own power plant. They're going to be powered by a generator on the ground that's beaming some kind of signal to them that holds them up there. So, like, if they crash, as long as the grid doesn't go down, they're going to stay up there, But if their own power plant quits, they can't come down. I mean, they're going to land on top of somebody. So that's why that won't work.
You made me think of you remember the early shots of the Gulf War where they would show all the anti-aircraft tracers shooting up.
Yeah.
Every single one of those shells would land somewhere.
Yeah, it comes down. Yeah. It must come down.
Yeah. So I'm betting like most of the damage was just all that stuff. It's coming back down. It's like, Oh man. Well,
Oh, look at you! You found me.
you know, the flying cars is something that you know that has been off and on. Like everyone, like I swear, like in popular science or popular mechanics, like every 5 years, some new company's got one. You know, and one of these days it's gonna happen. You know, I'll probably get one. You know.
Hey, John,
Guys,
you can get one.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's called.
The guy over in England's got the hover bike that they compared to Star Wars. Have you guys seen that? Video came out of it like last week or whatever. It's a hover bike. It looks a lot like the whatever you call those bikes that they had in Star Wars. The
hover bikes.
Speeder bike.
Yeah, it looks a lot like it. He's only built a scale, like 3/4 scale model of it so far, but the concept, he says he's already done the engineering and that it'll work with a full-size human being on it, but he's got a dummy sitting on it, and he's flying it around. You know, it's a remote control, but he's flying it around and showing what it can do and everything. I was like, that's pretty impressive. But nothing better get in those impellers. He's got the impellers exposed right out in the open, and I'm like, nothing better hit those or you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it's amazing. I have a niece that's she's been out of high school for a while, and she still hasn't got her driver's license. It's just not important.
Well, you know, that is something I noticed with my kids. Is none of them, like I couldn't wait to get my driver's license. The day I turned 16, I was there. And these guys none of them were like, well, yeah, I'll get it eventually. Yeah, all right, fine. All right. Yeah, they don't, for whatever reason, I don't know why, they don't put the same kind of importance on it that I remember putting on it.
Too busy texting.
Well, if they have one friend that has a car, that's the one that takes them everywhere.
Yeah.
And their parents pay gas money.
Yep.
Of course, it may be a good thing to not want to have to drive or anything like that. Maybe push it more towards public transportation. Obviously, being in California, really big on public transportation.
Yeah.
Problem is like if you want to ride the bus, it's $7 for a day pass.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So you need to be going somewhere that's going to be taking more than a gallon of gas. Otherwise, it's cheaper to drive.
You know, if it's $7 for the bus pass, like to drive downtown Chicago, you're going to pay $35-40 in parking. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you can find a public spot, but I'm not going to guarantee your car's going to be there when you do that.
Well, and your personal safety comes into it too. You know.
You gotta like going to the loop. Whatever.
I'm so happy now because I work. This is my office. I don't have to go anywhere anymore. So and then I realized once you stop commuting like that, you're losing like 2 or 3 hours a day doing that.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Yeah, because this is my office, and I filled my tank up in my Durango 2 months ago.
Very good.
And I'm at half a tank now.
Yeah, that's good.
Plus, you can also, you can order groceries. Safeway out here delivers groceries, so you can do that too.
Yeah,
people are not going to know that you're still alive.
Of course they will. I have my phone. They text me all the time.
All I can say is out in California, they must have to pay a lot more. I mean, people must earn a lot more for for the same type of a job that other people are doing, because I got a real dose of that when I went out there to do that. I was only there for 3 days when I went out there to do that interview and hanging around with Paul. He had a rental car and we were just riding around in his car, but I got hungry one day and we just stopped into a convenience store and I grabbed a bag of Cheetos and one of those fountain drinks, and it was like $7.
Whoa.
And here in San Antonio, that's $2 all day long. I was just shocked, and then the gas was like, when I left, excuse me, when I left San Antonio, gas was like $3.05 a gallon. It was like $4.95 a gallon out there.
Yeah, I think we're at about $398 right now
So
for
it's
the
come
cheap
down
for the
some.
cheap gas. Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
That's
I mean, even here in San Jose, the minimum wage here in San Jose is $10 an hour.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, and that's quite a bit above the federal required. But it's it's more expensive to live here. I mean,
Oh, definitely.
a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, could be like $2,100 a month. Exactly.
Oh, wow. You can make a good. You can make a here in San Antonio. You can live in a nice house and make a mortgage payment for that here.
Yeah, I mean, I have a house in Oklahoma that I rent, and it's a 3-bedroom, and it's $700 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, compared to a 3-bedroom out here would be about 25 to 3,000 a month.
Yeah. Well, Paul, when I was out there, Paul took me on the grand tour around Hollywood and all the L.A. area, and we went up into Laurel Canyon. Have you ever been up there, Tag?
Yeah, several
Those
times.
little bitty houses that are built on the sides of those hills and stuff. Yeah, it's a cool concept and everything. They're built on those stilts and all that. But I'm like, how do these things hold up in one of these earthquakes? And but he was telling me, like the prices on some of them. And I was like, wow, that's insane. I mean, they're more like they're not even houses. They're more like bungalows.
Yeah, they're like bungalows, and they're like $2.7–3 million.
Yeah, and they're all old. And the street, that street when you go up into Laurel Canyon is more like it reminds me of like being over in Naples, Italy, or something with the real narrow and
real narrow roads.
Cars, like nobody has driveways. They park their cars on the street, and people are riding bikes. And when you're coming up on another car, it's all curvy, and you're going up this big steep hill. And when another car comes, you have to find a spot to like get over so he can go by or whatever. You can't just. I'm like, for this? I mean, you guys are crazy. I guess it's all about location, though,
Yeah, that scene in Lethal Weapon where he yanks that house down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's Laurel Canyon Road up in there.
But yeah, I mean, it was neat. I mean, the view and everything. But I thought, back in the day, back in the 70s when they used to have all that smog, that must have been terrible. Because that smog would just get in there and just sit in there. There's no way that it could get out. I mean, it had to be bad.
Yeah, there were days that you could only see the tops of the tall buildings. You couldn't see any of the other buildings.
Wow.
Like, and you're standing there and like you're looking at like, yeah, I paid $2.7 million for this house. I got a good deal.
Yeah.
Look at this view. Look at that smog. Isn't that awesome?
You got to live in a house with a respirator mask on.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, it looked like
When I was working at the Motown building in L.A. That was back when they had the Rodney King riots. Literally, I'd go down in a day. There's no air conditioning, so especially summertime, the windows down. I'd get to work and blow my nose and black snot. That's just how bad it is because everybody has a car. Everybody takes their own car. And the 405, forget it. I mean, you're stuck on there for at least 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So it's, there's some nice things about LA, but there's a lot of things that aren't.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, I think I'm going to call this one a wrap. We've been on now for about 2 hours or so. So we had a nice little hangout today, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for writing in the questions, everybody, in the comments, and thanks to you guys for being here. We appreciate you being on each week with us and helping us answer questions and sharing your work and everything. So we'll be back on again next week at the same time, 2 o'clock next Sunday, and we'll see you guys then. And until we see you next time, take care out there and happy modeling, everybody. And good night, John Boy. Actually, it's only afternoon, but good night anyway.
Boyd, if you got a minute, Boyd?
I sure do.
Good night, John Boy.